Hockey Town, it's a place where dreams are found. We fought so many battles here, now we're the ones that they will fear. The cup resides within our town, we won't stop no letting down. The cup is ours, we're all to drink. It's our time, let's rock this ring.
Alrighty. Welcome everybody to a brand new episode of the Hockey Town Rundown. You're here with your boys again, Matt, Carlo, and myself, Derek. What's up, boys? How you guys doing today?
What's popping?
Brand new whip. Just hopped in.
Ooh, he finished it. Way to dap it up, Matt.
Somebody has to.
That's awesome.
Oh, it's a beautiful day for that. And as everyone can see that we are missing our lovely host, Zack, today. He decided to say screw it to all of his obligations. No work, no jumping on the podcast. He's in California just enjoying his life right now. So good for him.
Yeah, claps to Zack, eh? Just chilling in Cali. Not taking care of his responsibilities.
Listen, right now it's 8:40 in the morning in California. I bet he has had like 5 mimosas so far. Probably at like bottomless mimosa brunch right now. Just getting absolutely plastered. I don't know when he's coming back, but you know, if this is your last day in California, you might as well live it up because that state is absolutely beautiful.
Nothing like a $30 mimosa.
Alrighty, and boys, let's get a little breakdown here. We're going to be covering some Red Wings news, some Yzerman Presper. We'll get into our main topic today, which is our free agent targets. And then we'll get a little bit of the NHL news for you here at the end, just to cover what's been happening around the league. And before we start off, we just want to thank everybody for stopping back in again. If you're brand new, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
We appreciate everybody and all those views. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and stamp that little like button. Subscribe to us on here. We're on all platforms, so even Spotify itself, go ahead and write us 5 stars on there. We really do appreciate it. And boys, let's jump right in. Let's see what's been happening this week. So for Red Wings news, we got Dmitry. Carlo, help me.
Buchelnikov.
Thank you.
Sound
I'm terrible with these Russian
names. The
Booch. He only told me 3 times before we started, and I still can't say it.
I got you, buddy. I'm here.
And we got him signed a contract with Vitaz in the KHL until 25-26 year. He is one of our prospects, and this is kind of something we all saw coming already. But, you know, it's the KHL. They like to keep their boys over there a little bit longer. Hopefully this doesn't do anything bad for the Red Wings in this prospect, because he is a pretty high-end prospect that we have in the pipeline. So hopefully in these 2 years, we will be seeing him making that jump over. And then we also had Albert Johansson on a 1-year, 2-way deal. So that's a nice little signing for the AHL. Hopefully Johansson makes that little breakthrough up here into the NHL, not AHL. He already did that. So that's a nice little move. How do you guys feel about that little signing?
Well, first of all, I'm really happy to see that it's a 2-way deal, meaning that there's a lot of movement there for him. I think it's a great deal for him. You know, obviously, if you're a guy who hasn't played even a single game in the NHL, you're not going to be okay with signing a multi-year contract. So, you know, 1 year he's probably going to play as, I'd say, maybe the 6th or 7th defenseman. I think it'd probably benefit him just to play like bottom pairing minutes, maybe not take up a whole lot of responsibility on the ice, and you know, just kind of learn by osmosis, kind of, you know, just like get a feel for the NHL game, because you know we're gonna have Simon on this roster unless something catastrophic changes, and I think he's more than earned the spot. And I think this is Yzerman just saying, well, like obviously he has to play him because you know he loses waiver eligibility, but you know. I think Yzerman saying, like, you know what? I like what I've seen from you in Grand Rapids. Like, I think if you talk to a lot of those players, and obviously, you know, the Hockey Town West guys, they would say that he's one of the better Griffins this past season. So I think it's definitely well earned for him. I'm not really expecting a whole like too much from him. I don't think he's gonna have like a cider rookie year. Don't pick this guy to win the Calder. I mean, if you do, it's probably tremendous odds. So you know, you can probably get a big payday if he just comes out. He's a good player, but yeah. No, I think it's good for him. I'm excited to see him. I'm excited to see what he can do. I think he's going to bring a lot of youth, number one, and some stability, hopefully, on the blue line.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I think I'm kind of reading between the lines and through some very positive lenses on this one, but I do think he is going to turn some heads. I think one thing that Yzerman was really clear on, especially at the end of the season presser, was this team needs to be better defensively. And Eljo was kind of that shutdown D-man in GR. Like, it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, but he really did a good job getting the job done, in the sense that he was shutting things down. I think with I don't want to say the forceful move up, but obviously the voluntold, so to speak, that, hey, you're going to be on the Detroit Red Wings. I think they hope that he really comes in and makes a really big shutdown defensive difference. And I think he can just do that. It's going to take a while to acclimate, I think, like it would for any young player. But again, reading between the lines through very positive lenses, I think he's going to turn some heads, and I think he's going to surprise a lot of hockey fans, Red Wing fans, this coming season, if he does jump up and he gets into the defensive group. And $775,000 two-way signing, what's there not to love about that, right?
Man, you guys took all the words out of my mouth there. Thank you for doing that very easily. I mean, from what everyone says in Grand Rapids alone, he just is one of the leaders on the team, and he has so much potential. So this is a great signing. I'm excited to see him up here in the NHL and actually playing some games, seeing what he could do. So all the power to you, Eljo. Good job signing that contract. We're happy to see it. And as Carlos said, let's jump now into that Yzerman presser here. And in true Stevie Yzerman fashion, he barely really gave us anything to work with. It was great.
Yeah, thanks, Steve.
Yeah, we know nothing. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Everything that's been happening is basically still in the same way. No signings for Lucas or Raymond. Not sure if it's going to happen before July 1st. So that's always a fun little touch up. And we have got news on Patrick Kane. Nothing really moving there. Steve's still in contact with his agent, so that's good news. But at the same time, like we were joking before we even started the podcast, whose agent isn't in contact with him right now? Like, let's be honest, all GMs are probably talking to Kane, seeing what he can come over for and what he's going to do. Mm-hmm. So very little there. I guess still a pipe dream that we might have getting Kane back. Not too sure. And then Yzerman doesn't anticipate getting Mo and Raymond signed by July 1st, as we went over. And apparently, we're not going to be doing anything really with that 15th overall pick. So, again, not a bad place in the draft to be picking, like Yzerman said in the presser. So there's going to be plenty of potential talent there for us to get. But at the same time, I would have liked to see maybe a little action. I don't know. It seems like it's a quiet offseason so far for Steve. What are you guys thinking about the presser so far?
Well, he really, like you said, man, he really didn't say anything. He kind of gave you very, very, very like face value stuff that you would kind of expect any GM to say sitting in that spot. Now, I will say, before we kind of go right into it, is so this presser wasn't live, right? It wasn't like a YouTube link or anything like that. It wasn't live. So we were kind of on Twitter, and yeah, that's kind of an L. However, it was recorded. It was later posted. But the one thing that I saw was, obviously you have the writers that cover the Detroit Red Wings. You have the people that work within the organization to release this media, and they're releasing things, right, as the presser's going. And the one thing I noticed was, like, everybody on Twitter was just like, I don't want to say everybody, but a very good amount of people were it was like gloom and doom. Based off of what was being said by these reporters on Twitter. And it was kind of strange because once it was posted and I was able to watch it back, it was a completely different vibe. Steve doesn't, now, mind you, like I've always said, anytime these media pressers happen, it's very well a negotiation. He knows what he's doing with his words when he's, releasing something to the mass public. But he's negotiating, man. I didn't get the sense of any negativity or any bad vibes after I watched the post game. I wish I watched the post game. The presser once it posted. But yeah, I don't know, man. I feel like with Mo and Ray, he said something that was interesting to me, is that, if these deals don't get done, I'm going to have to work around them. And I can appreciate that. Like if these guys or if their agents want to kind of stall this out, okay, cool. I still have a job to do. I'm still going to go down the line and take care of, the rest of the business that I need to take care of. So when that's going to happen, we are all waiting for that. But the one thing that also surprised me is that he didn't really anticipate those two deals being done by July 1, like you mentioned there, Derek. That kind of surprised me. I kind of figured there'd be a little more urgency with Lucas and with Mo. to get those done, considering they're kind of your, they're your two stars, they're your cornerstones. Like, you're going to get those locked up. So I don't really know if it's Steve kind of stalling that, or if it's their agent stalling that, or if this is just all part of the process. And sometimes it is when you have two cornerstones like that on your team. I've seen it before where they take a while to get done, especially at that age. But again, kind of surprised me. And it kind of, I don't want to say it sucks, but in my opinion, it's like, I wish it could get done so that we could really kind of get a better outlook for the team, especially with how condensed everything is within the next week. Not even. Yeah, I guess the next week. You mean we go on to obviously Monday with Game 7, and then it's like, boom, within a couple of days you have the draft, and then you have free agency. It's just like boom, 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 all within like 10 days. It's kind of hard as a GM, and maybe that's why everything has been so slowed down, is because there's a lot of things as a GM that you need to kind of take care of in the next 10 days because of how condensed everything is. So maybe that's what's throwing a wrench in all of this and causing the pause. But that's kind of my take on it. I really don't know if it's panic time like 80% of the people on Twitter were doing. For me, I think we're still like, summer literally just started. So let's enjoy that. And then, yeah, the Patrick Kane mentions were as vague as one could be regarding a guy like Patrick Kane and signing another deal. So really it was, I mean, we learned zero. We know nothing. Steve knows everything, as always. Hail Steve. And yeah, that's kind of, I don't really know what else to say about it other than just recapping it and like, I don't know what's happening. So Matt, Derek, please, if you guys know anything, people want to know. So fill us in.
Well, I think the people that are kind of freaking out a little bit, I don't know if they've ever really listened to an Yzerman presser. Like, this is not any different than any other year he's ever done this. Like, he's just a master in negotiating that he's never going to tip his hand to anyone. Like, let's keep in mind that, like, this isn't just for Red Wings fans, this presser. Like, and anybody else from any other team could go over there and just be like, well, maybe I'll get some dirt on Steve. Maybe he's going to slip up and reveal something, and then he'll show his hand. And, he's not going to do that. He knows what's happening. Like, every word that he puts out there, like, people are hanging on, like, so I don't really think there's any cause for alarm. I don't really know why it has to take so long to get these two guys signed. I don't think it's all on Yzerman, though. I think a lot of that has to do with their agents, too. They're both playing hardball. I think, well, I don't think, I know ultimately that they both want to stay. They want to be Red Wings for a long time. So I don't know why people are freaking out like Steve Yzerman is just going to trade them because negotiations are too tough. That's just not going to happen. I mean, they're RFA. They're controlled. It's not like they're going to walk after July 1 as a UFA. Like, we still got control over them. So a deal will definitely fall in place. We just have to be patient. I do wish that it was before free agency starts so we can kind of see what happens. But, even just talking about that, I don't really want this team to do that much in free agency. I don't think they really need to. We've got all these young guys. We just mentioned Aljo just got signed. Danielson's going to make a run out of camp. Berggren should have a spot on this roster. If not, he'll probably get traded. Marco Kasper is going to take a run for the team. There's so many young guys that could be on this roster next year. And I think if there are some rookies, that's kind of a pro and a con. You get these young guys that are super talented. They're obviously going to play harder because they want to prove that they belong on the team. They deserve a spot on the team, and they are the future. And they're going to be a lot cheaper too, versus signing like a centerman in free agency, which we know Steve would just give them like $5 million for 6 years. Like, we don't need that anymore. We've got Comfer, we've got Kopp for, Comfer 4 more years, Kopp 3 more years. We don't really need to go big game hunting anymore. We really don't. I mean, maybe just one guy to shore up the blue line a little bit. Maybe we'll see what happens if Perron leaves, if Gostisbehere leaves, if, Fisher leaves, Sprung's probably gone. Maybe we'll want to go out and get a depth forward to replace them. But I don't think there's too much turnover that needs to happen with this team this summer. I don't think it's going to be like last year where, I mean, what did we do? We signed like 6 or 7 players in free agency last year. I don't think that needs to happen again. The only thing that I really wasn't a huge fan of is it sounds like from the presser that the plan for next year is Line and Husso as a tandem. I really don't know how to feel about that. I mean, ultimately, there's not really like any better options out there in free agency. You'd have to trade for a guy like Saros or Olmark, which you then have to extend them. I think at this point, with the 2 young goalies, Kosa in Grand Rapids and obviously Augustine back in Lansing, I don't think it makes sense to sign a goalie to a multi-year deal. I really don't. I mean, are we really sitting here thinking that Kosa won't make a run next year even? Maybe even we'll see if he makes camp interesting this year. I mean, that's our plan, right? To get these guys on the team and, eventually be a starter for the team. I don't think it makes sense to get a Saros for, I mean, people are saying it's going to be like a 7 or 8 year deal. We don't need to do that. And
No,
I just don't think that's the move right now. But I don't know. Husso's injury history, I don't feel comfortable with him going in. And, Lyon, he did well for us, but I think we still need someone else reliable with Lyon too. So that's pretty much the only concern I got from the press conference. I mean, who knows what's going to happen between now and July 1? Like, he could go and sign a goalie. You never really know what's going to happen. But yeah, sounds like we're staying pat at 15th overall. I think I'm okay with that unless there's a deal that comes literally on the draft floor that is too good to pass up. Natchez is still out there. No team has traded for him yet. Detroit's rumored to be in and around Natchez. I think he'd be a great fit. Ehlers also, they're around him. I think Ehlers would be a great fit too. We'll just have to see what happens, So, yeah, I don't think there's too much panic to be caused from the press conference. I think people need to just chill out, enjoy Game 7 tomorrow. It's going to be absolutely insane. And then we'll get to the draft, and then we'll get the wheels turning.
I just wanted to say one thing, Matt. You brought up a good point. Derek, kind of wanted your take on this too. But you bring up UC Saros at 7 or 8 years, and obviously we're not in the realm of doing that. It makes no sense for us to do that. But what about Jonathan Gibson? I know the Red Wings have been around that name a few times now, and I'm thinking if Justin Hall were to get bought out, some money frees up there. Some key people don't come back. This could be Kane. This could be Ghost. This could be Perron. Obviously, some money frees up there. I'm not saying to give all that money to Jonathan Gibson by any means, but making a little bit room to bring a guy like him in to be the third goalie between Lyon and Husso. Because you're right, it did sound like they're standing pat with those two unless something crazy happens or unless Steve Yzerman is trolling us like he always does. And maybe he is. But what do you guys think about bringing in a Jonathan Gibson to be that third goalie for the right price? I mean, he's a little bit older. I don't think he's going to command as much money as UC Saros, but he's a good goaltender playing on a very, very bad team. What does Jonathan Gibson look like in the Red Wings uniform as the third goalie, maybe even the second goalie, depending on injuries and stuff?
I mean, I see a good path for that. Obviously, I think everybody who's seen those rumors also wants that nice little package deal with Zegras in there. So, that would actually kick out all of our free agents that we're about to talk about here in a second. But I think Gibson has 2 years left on his contract too, at like $5 million or something like that. So that's not a bad hit. And we know what Gibson's floor is, and it's a very high floor. So if he does bad, it's actually not that bad. He's just in front of a bad team. So I feel like bringing Gibson in would probably be a nice boost to the goal line. Like, obviously, Husso, Lyon, I want to see that work out. Do I think it's going to with what's been happening over the last year and a half? I don't know. But Gibson would bring in some concrete certainty and at least some veteran presence too, especially when you're starting to bring Kosa up here probably in the next 2-3 years, which would be the end of Gibson's run with us probably. So
yeah,
I do
actually, you know what? Gibson's being paid 6.4 for the next 3 years. So there would have to be, in my opinion, some salary cap retained, maybe get him down to 5 or below 5 to make that that makes sense. I'm excited about that, but I'm with you now. I'm with you. I think there's something there.
I'm happy you guys brought him up because I actually was thinking about him when I was naming my goalies and I just didn't really say him. Yeah, I think he could be a good option. I think he'd be great to mentor. Like if Kosa's up next year, I think he'd be a great option to mentor Kosa. He's a guy who's he's played on some pretty bad teams and has put up some okay numbers. I don't think you can really look at his numbers too far considering that he's played in front of an ECHL defense. So I don't really know if you need to dive too deep into those numbers, but yeah, he's a guy who's been around for a while. He's been a starting goalie in some playoff series. And, I think one year the Ducks got to the conference finals with him as a starter. So, he could definitely be a good option. Yeah, I guess the cost isn't too great, but hey, look, if you're going to trade like Ville Husso and like Justin Hall or something, and maybe throw in like a Berggren or whatever, I don't really know what a trade like that would look like, but you can free up some of your money, take on his contract. I think everybody wins in the end there.
So Gibson would be a yes for us. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, boys, there you go. There you go, everybody. There is the Yzerman presser.
Wait, one more thing. He doesn't use Yzerplan. Do we believe that?
Right.
Does everybody believe
That's
that?
actually a big piece of news.
Oh, I remember reading that or listening to that. I was like, really? You don't use your own name? Come on, man. It's a staple at this point. It's been 5 years.
Yeah, man. And that's how you know it's a really like close to the chest press conference when that's the highlight.
Right.
Steve Yzerman does not use Yzerplan. Actually, he mentioned Yzerplan too. So he knows of both, and I call bullshit. The fact that you know there's 2 ways to pronounce it tells me you use it, Steve.
Alrighty, boys. Let's make that switch over to our main topic now after getting through all the nice tiny amount of Red Wing news that we had. We'll jump into our free agent targets today.
I can go first. My guy comes with a little bit of bad news, depending on what side of the fence you're on, I guess, because I don't think there's any way we can bring a guy like this in without saying goodbye to Patrick Kane, unfortunately, just the way things are going to work with the money situation. And obviously this would happen after Mo and Ray get signed. But my guy is Jonathan Marchessault. And the reason I picked Jonathan Marchessault is, he would literally come in and take Patrick Kane's spot on the second line. And this is just a thought, but he's a little bit younger. Let's call a spade a spade. He doesn't have Patrick Kane's hands, but he can forecheck, I think, a lot better than Patrick Kane. And I think with that, he can probably back check too. I think his age is in that sweet spot where it's not going to cost us too much money, but we still need to respect the name. So I'm thinking he would probably come in like he's making $5 million right now, or he just got done that $5 million. I think it was a 5-year, $5 million deal. I can see Steve Yzerman going down the classic road of a 3-year deal, and the number probably like, I'm going to just throw it out here. I don't know for sure, but like 6.25, 6.5, that would be like my personal max. I might be off on that. Sorry. That's just for me to make everything else work. But I think Jonathan Marchessault, he can still bring in a lot. Like I mentioned, the forechecking, probably the back checking too. But his most recent, season with Vegas, 82 games, which is awesome. He played 82 games. That alone is great. 42 goals, 27 assists, 69 points. Nice. Yeah, there it is. Even in 22-23, 76 games, so not full 82, but 28 goals, 29 assists, 57 points. And that's playing on a Vegas team that had a lot of like pretty good output in their top 6. Even their top 9, but I think he's just he's a productive player, man. Like he's never really had, since he's been with Vegas, he has been a very, very productive player. So you put key people around him, you put good players around him. I think he could be very, very good on this Detroit Red Wings team, especially with the injection of youth coming up. I think at this point in time, he'd be also a really good mentor too. He's obviously won a cup. He's got that veteran leadership. I think he was wearing an A with Vegas this past year. That's my guy, man. I'm a big fan of Jonathan Marchessault. I really started to turn on to him back in Vegas's first year, I think, or second year, where he just went on a heater in the playoffs, and I was like, this guy is sick. And then he just kept repeating that. And this is going back like 6-7 years. I've just been a big fan. I've definitely followed his journey, and I think he could be a really good fit for the Detroit Red Wings if everything makes sense. The only bitter side to that, again, is it comes at the cost of Patrick Kane not being on the team. And I know that's going to be tough for a lot of people because I think we all had a lot of fun watching Patrick Kane. But this is probably conversations and thoughts that Steve Yzerman's realistically having, because you need to have like 7 game plans. Like you need to. If this guy doesn't sign, who comes in? If this guy doesn't come in, we have to replace the goals. Where are we going to get the goals from? I think that's something he mentioned in the presser too. Like these are all real conversations. And I think Jonathan Marchessault could very well come in and do that, but also bring in some other positive things to the team as well with some good forechecking and potentially some better back checking, because I don't think Patrick Kane's really back checking. David Perron really tries to back check, but he's just not that quick. I think Marchessault still got a set of wheels on him too. So that's my guy. Do you guys have any takes or any questions on Marchie?
I mean, Marchie being a 60 to 70 point perennial goals, like point getter, like solid 200-foot game. He is on the small side, but at the same time, so is Patrick Kane, and so is Daddy P. So not big people, but at the same time, I feel like if you mash Daddy P and Patrick Kane together, you get a Marchie out of it. And if you didn't pick him, Carlo, honestly, this was going to be my pick too. So
yeah, fair.
It's not an upsetting person, especially coming from one of my other favorite teams, Vegas, over there.
Yeah,
I would love to see him in the wing wheel, but like you said, there is going to be a cost to that. That means we're probably losing Patrick Kane, and from what I've heard, it is looking like he's looking probably for at least a 3-year deal. Most likely going to be probably around that $7 million marker. So,
yep,
it's going to be a little costly. It's going to hurt in a few ways, but is it doable? I would think so, especially if we're missing out on some key components like Patrick Kane and Daddy P coming through.
Question, and this is for the viewers, and I'd love for you guys to throw comments down below, but this is just a quick one. Who would you rather have on your second line right wing at let's go $7 million a year for 3 years? Jonathan Marchessault or Patrick Kane? Who do you want? Who's the guy? Who are you throwing the contract to? I don't know. Don't ask me because I don't have an answer yet. I don't know. What's your answer?
Patrick Kane.
Okay. I'm leaning towards Patrick Kane, but I do like. Okay, Derek?
I mean, I like, because obviously we need the goal scoring. We need the front end magic from him. It's hard to say no to Patrick Kane nowadays. Marchie's a great player, but if we could keep Patrick Kane and he can continuously put the output that he's been doing this year for us over the next 3 to when he's 39, I'm not going to say no. But again, the age thing, like you said, Carlo, that's the only thing that scares me, because there's a 3-4 year gap in between them right now.
3-year gap. So Marchessault's 33. So if you give him a 3-year deal, when his deal's done, he'll be the age of Patrick Kane
right now. So the only scary part to me is that right there.
And let's not. I just want to. Marchessault is a goal scorer, man. That guy is a goal scorer. Oh man, that's a really tough one. Who's your second line, second winger? Patrick Kane or Jonathan Marchessault? $7 million, 3 years. Who's the no-brainer? I'm leaning towards Patrick Kane, but the age and what Marchessault's doing's got me. It's tugging me back. It's tugging me back to that side. So I don't have an answer yet. Maybe I will next week, but I'm very curious to hear from our viewers of who they would take. And this might be a very obvious answer. Like Matt was very quick to say, "Dude, it's Patrick Kane."
Yeah.
Stop talking.
Matt didn't even think about it. Kane.
Yeah.
Done.
Well, listen, okay. Here's what I'll say about this debate is, number one, I think the main difference between Patrick Kane and Marchessault, like, of course, we know what Marchessault is. He's a great goal scorer. He's really a fantastic player. But he does not have that same high-end skill that Patrick Kane does. And I think what he proved this year is he's never going to lose that part of his game. It's just his body's not going to be able to keep up anymore. He's always going to be Patrick Kane, the silky mitts, the incredible plays, incredible playmaker, and has a goal-scoring touch too. I mean, he proved that this year, that it has not gone away. It's literally with like a hip resurfacing surgery, he still has that high-end skill. And I don't know, he might be 60 years old playing beer league and still just dangling people. Like, that's just who he is as a player. Yeah. Like, he's not going to lose that. He'll slow down, but he's never going to lose that. So I think that's where I would lean towards. I want that high-end skill, because nobody on the team has skill like Patrick Kane. Maybe you could argue that Lucas Raymond is the closest one. I could definitely hear Dylan Larkin too, but they're not in that same echelon as Patrick Kane. I mean, honestly, not a lot of players in the entire NHL are. Like, look around and tell me who has more skill right now, even at whatever he is, 36 or 37, however old he is, who has higher skill than him right now? It's probably like not even 10 players. So I don't know if I want to willingly part from that. And here's my piece that I'll say on Marchessault, and this is going to apply to pretty much every other NHL team too, not just the Detroit Red Wings. I really do not think he's signing anywhere other than Vegas, and I'll tell you why. He won the Conn Smythe last year. He's an OG Golden Knight taken in the expansion draft. He's a proven consistent playoff performer. I think Vegas has a chance here that if they can sign him until the end of his career and he retires as a Golden Knight, he could go down as one of their first all-time franchise players. I 1000% believe that. Playoff MVP, won a cup, OG Golden Knight. I mean, the case is pretty strong for this guy to be the first all-time great Golden Knight. So I don't think Vegas can pass up that opportunity. I think they need to hang on to him. We know how Vegas is. They're quick to move on from players. I don't think they're going to do it with Marchessault. I think it'll be someone else.
I don't know how they're going to sign him. Like, I hear what you're saying, and I respect everything you're saying, because if I'm Vegas, I'm definitely going to try to value that and try to make Marchie retire a Vegas Golden Knight as that OG Golden Knight consummate stud. I just don't know how they're possibly going to do that without getting rid of some big names, because they literally have zero money. They have zero money. But
they have negative money right now.
But Matt, you really kind of opened my mind to another question about this, and that's, who makes players around them even better, Patrick Kane or Jonathan Marchessault? And I think the de facto answer is definitely Patrick Kane. Look what happened with Raymond. Whether you're even playing on the same line as him, I mean, his vision, if you are playing on the same line as him, you are going to be set up for success because his vision is second to none. But if you're not playing on the same line as him, you're still getting better just by practicing and watching this guy. And Lucas Raymond is Exhibit A. So that's kind of bringing me back over to that Patrick Kane side of who would I want for this long, for this much. So thank you for sharing that, dude. That was a really good piece that made me think, you know what? I don't know if Jonathan Marchessault is going to make, the Lucas Raymonds, the Marco Kaspers, the Nate Danielsons better. Maybe he will, but at the same rate of Patrick Kane, that I don't think so.
I'm gonna piggyback off that real quick, because I think even if Patrick Kane leaves, the guy that's gonna take that spot of just making everyone better around him is Lucas Raymond.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I think Lucas Raymond is gonna step up and be that player. So yeah, you're gonna definitely be missing out on a lot if Patrick Kane walks, but man, you've got Lucas Raymond. What a great candidate to fill his shoes. Totally. And it's not to mention Dylan Larkin too. I mean, honestly, it's probably him more so than Lucas Raymond. I think we got two players that will make everyone better. Like when he's on the ice, I mean, we don't have to rehash what happened in March. We saw how this team was when he went down with injury. So if that doesn't prove it to you, I don't know what will.
I feel like Dylan Larkin's the motor and Patrick Kane is the courage. The courage to go and do that creative thing that you want to do, but you're like, I don't know if I should do this. And Dylan Larkin's the motor behind it that's powering it. And I think those are two great pieces to have on your team right now for any young player coming into this organization, to have a guy like Dylan Larkin motoring and powering you, and a guy like Patrick Kane giving you the courage to go and try something and go and make a difference. Man, that is really cool. That is really, really cool.
Dylan Larkin is the engine. Patrick Kane is the steering wheel.
There
Andrew
it is.
Cobb, Justin Hall, Jeff Petrie are the brakes.
And we're moving on.
Before we get yelled at by someone else, and I'm going to say right now, I feel like a lot of these free agent targets that we're going off of are going to align a lot with what happens with the Patrick Kane signing or not signing. So
totally,
for sure,
I feel like all these names we're going to mention, besides one for Zack, because Zack went the opposite direction. I think everybody else did. It's going to entail a lot around what happens with him. So,
well, you know what's funny about that, Derek, is like it's such a crazy domino effect, because we can't really talk about Patrick Kane signing until Lucas and Mo get signed. So it's like Lucas and Mo, and then Patrick Kane, and then UFAs. It's like this crazy domino effect that gives us a lot to talk about, and we could be way off, and we could be throwing bullies. So take it away, buddy.
And after that little statement, let's jump into my pick here, boys. We'll go with the boy that Stevie already knows and has played with for a while, Steve Stamkos. Free agent this year. Nothing's happened with Tampa Bay yet, which is still surprising me. But boys, 34 years old, still killing it out there. 40 goals, 41 assists, 81 points in 79 games, 6 points in 5 playoff games. The man still has it.
Oh yeah,
2 seasons ago he was shooting up over 100 points. I'm like, I just don't understand the fact that Tampa still has not signed him. And I feel like Steve might be over there just chattering his fingers like, there's an opening. Like, can I get my boy back? Like, what's happening here? Like, I understand the concept that Stamkos is not going to come in cheap. Could it be the same deal as what we're talking for Margie here? Maybe a 3x7? I don't know. The age is something to be worried about, but the point production still is just ungodly. Like if you're over a point per game player still at your age, and it doesn't look like you're going to teeter off anytime soon. Oh boy, Stammer got me going a little bit there. I just still on free agent.
And Tampa's only got 5.5 in projected cap space, and that's probably why Stammer hasn't signed yet, because there's not enough money.
I'm about to say they just signed that defense from Nashville to Brant McDonough.
They brought him. They brought him back for 2 years. That's 6.7, 6.8. I'm like, Jesus,
way too much for what I was thinking, especially since their GM was still talking about, this is in the works. We're going to make it happen. I'm like, I'm sorry. Wait a minute. How are you going to make it happen now? Because I don't know. Stammer is not staying there for anything less than $6 million. Because at that point, you're just anything under $6 million would just be a steal for him at this point. Still,
I think even at 6, that's a hometown discount to retire with Tampa
for sure.
That's only what it would be.
But they don't even have 6. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot that could move around with this team too, that could free up the room. And if Stammer really wants to be there, and if Breezeball really wants Stammer to be there, they'll find a way to make it work. But it really comes down to does each party really still want to be, there? I'm not convinced that's the case. So there might be something here, Derek, and that really excites me, and it just makes everything more complicated. So thank you.
I would have thrown it in there, like even though like they were having like issues at halfway through the season because there wasn't a contract extension already in place. Like we saw that Stammer was getting a little PO'd about it, and I'm like, that's understandable. You're a generational talent. You're amazing out there. You should have been signed already because your production is out of this world no matter what. Like, it's crazy to watch him. And that's why I still want his butt brought over to the Red Wings, because, boom, that replaces our goal scoring. That replaces some playmaking. Get a 200-foot left wiener who goes back and forth and takes down everybody. I'm like, if it comes down to it and we don't get Patrick Kane back, I really hope Steve's making a push in Tampa Bay's direction a little bit here, because we have the cap space for you, Stammer. Don't worry.
Yeah, you know what? If I were to slot it out, and this might change after Matt highlights his UFA target, but if it's not Patrick Kane, I would say as of right now, it's definitely Steven Stamkos at 1 to replace, and then it would be Marchessault. And again, that could very well change after Matt goes over his target, but great call, Derek. Stammer, 200-foot goal scorer, generational talent, brand power. He could definitely fill the Patrick Kane void very, very nicely, I think, and make players around him better. So that's a woof. Oh my God. Maybe this is why everything's taking so long. Steve doesn't even know what to do right now, probably. No, I'm just joking. Steve knows exactly what to do.
He probably has a plan, but us throwing the whole world at him right now probably doesn't make it easier.
No. Steve, can you just go and re-sign Kane, grab Stammer, and bring in Marchessault? That'd be great, man. Just go ahead and fire that up.
All under $3 million.
Yeah. $1 million each, 1-year deal.
Perfect deals for them in their old age, right?
Good luck with that one.
Yep.
Good luck. So let's hop into mine. I think to preface this before I even get into it, really, I think the UFA that I want back is honestly Patrick Kane. It's really honestly Patrick Kane. But, just to humor everybody, because that's not really a great answer, because obviously all three of us want him back. Let's go into Jake Gensel. I think he's a player that's, he is approaching 30. I think actually he is 30 now. He's going to be a guy that you're going to have to sign long-term. I don't think you can get this deal done with anything under 6 years. I think in a perfect world, he'd fit this team, absolutely perfectly. He's an offensive winger. He's scored 40 goals twice in his career. Proven playoff performer. He's been at a point per game or just under a point per game in pretty much every single year in the playoffs. I think he'd be the perfect candidate to replace a guy like Patrick Kane. I think, you could definitely sign him. Well, you will sign him long-term. You'll have to sign him long-term. I really don't know if you want to do 3 big deals. You got your 2 RFAs to sign. I don't know if it makes sense to go after a third one, but if you can get these guys signed and you find that you have a little bit of money left over to get a guy like Gensel, I think that would be definitely a smart move. He'd fit this team really well. I think that he would be, just the perfect goal scoring, kind of like the talent that we've been missing, right? He's really a talent that we've been missing, and going to long term. So I think that's why I'm looking at him. Do I think a deal is going to get done? I think it's pretty unlikely. I don't really even know if I recommend it happening, but you never really know. Maybe Yzerman's going to pull out some cap gymnastics and make it work. So yeah, there's mine.
What's the term in contracts in your opinion?
I'm thinking it's going to be I think what he wants is going to be a 7 or 8 year deal, just north of $8 million. I think what Yzerman could try and make him do, 5 or 6 years, 7.5. That's like pie in the sky, wishful thinking. But
yeah,
I think if anyone can get a contract done like that, it's probably Steve Yzerman. I guess it's kind of cheating to use DeBrincat as an example because he wanted to come here, but you never know. Maybe Yzerman meets with his agent. He gives him the pitch of his lifetime on the Red Wings, where they are as a team. Hey, we almost made the playoffs. We literally missed it by 0 points. We're making a push next year. We got great young talent, Lucas Raymond, Mo Sider, and we got these great guys playing in Grand Rapids right now. I'm betting one of them is going to make a huge case to get on the team. I think this team's in a great place right now. It's just a matter of dollars. It's just a matter of what you have left over. If you can get Raymond and Sider signed in time, which, by the way, I don't think it's going to happen in time. I think he's gone on July 1. A team's going to get him. So
yeah, timing's the other big thing for sure.
Yeah, the timing's not great. I think if Mo and Lucas got signed 2 weeks ago and we had an idea of what we can do and we were leaning towards just letting Patrick Kane walk, maybe this is a realistic target to look at. But I just think of the circumstance, what it is. I don't think it makes sense. But as I said, in a perfect world, if we can make it happen, I would definitely pull the trigger on Jake Gensel. I really think he'd be a perfect fit. And, something to think about with all these UFAs is, are you going to get these guys on your team as a prime producer, a prime contributor during our playoff runs? I think Jake Gensel is one of those guys that you'll get. I think maybe Marchessault could be. That's probably going to be at the latter end of his contract if he wants 3 years.
Yeah.
Stammer, who knows? Maybe you can only get him for 1 or 2 years. I think with a guy like Gensel, if you can sign him for 6, 7, 8 years, he's going to be on your team as a pretty big contributor, and hopefully you're going after the cup with him.
That's a good point, man, because what we're seeing right now is kind of that logjam of guys in our lineup that are potentially pushing back when these, our younger players, prospects come into the team, plug players. And we don't want to bring in a guy, whether that be Jonathan Marchessault, and him end up being that player that we resent because he's blocking a spot for somebody else. And then his age kind of creeps up and then he stops producing at the rate he's been producing at. Now the resentment's there. We've already been through that for way too long, way too frequently. And I think you can even say the same for Patrick Kane. I think you could say the same for Steven Stamkos. I mean, it's a risk. Nobody knows until it happens, but these are all risks that you have to weigh as well. It's listen, we can bring these guys in, whether they're 33, 34, 35, sign them for 3 years until they're 38 or 39. What is that going to, you got to put yourself 3 years down the road and be what is this doing to the rest of the team, construction of the team, and the injection of young players? Is it halting that? That's a crazy thing to manage, man. That really is. So good point.
I mean, with Gensel, the only thing I was really worried about was the fact that he played with one of the best players ever to play on the ice, Sidney Crosby. And, that was the big thing going on. Okay, is all his production based on what Crosby's doing out there too? Gets traded to Carolina, puts up crap ton of points. And so it really just shows you it really wasn't Crosby. The kid has talent. He's younger, especially much younger than both of our targets that we're looking at. And like you said, man, if we get him collected for 6 to 8 years, that'll definitely actually help for a playoff push that the Red Wings will potentially be in those years. Because 3-year deals, like we said, that'll probably be right when the Wings are starting to make those pushes again for long-term runs. but that'll be the end of those contracts. If we have Gensel for that long, we still have him for those playoff runs, and that'll be a nice little addition to the run that we have going on. So I can see that back and forth. I guess it all just comes down to how much you got to pay him to stay here with us for that many years.
And how much time do we have to sign him? Because if he's gone, like we all think he's going to be gone on July 1, I don't think Detroit's going to be going after. I don't think Detroit can.
No, they can't.
It's going to be a really fun 1 week here with the Stanley Cup Finals, draft, and
I can't believe how condensed everything is. It's unreal. Like, it's great for us. I mean, we got lots of stuff to talk about and discuss, but my goodness, you have all these GMs crushing all this in a week. Or do they sleep?
There's going to be 20 trades on Tuesday.
It's going to be nuts, man. It's going to be nuts.
I'm going to be excited to watch it.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit there watching all the notifications pop on my phone like, oh, my God.
Yeah, make sure you have a battery pack that day because your phone will die for sure.
For sure it will.
But nice, Mick. That was a good pick.
Very good pick.
It was always a good choice. And let's jump in now to Zach, who went in the exact opposite direction as all of us did.
Of course he did.
Yeah, Zach went for the defensive-minded D from Winnipeg, Dylan DeMello. Dylan DeMello, not bad player. He's more, like I said, the defensive defenseman. Something that the Wings definitely do need. High-impact player on the line. Not a high-point producer. Not too bad this last season with Winnipeg. 3 goals, 28 assists for 31 points. But the one thing that I noticed right away, and I'm pretty sure it's what Zach was looking at too, was that plus-minus that obviously we don't really look at too much because it gives you a back and forth on the player. But when you see a plus 46 next to somebody's name, it tends to pop off the board pretty well for you, and it should explain how good of a defenseman he is out there because he is not getting scored on. He is just letting those goals go in the opposite direction. I love to see that. And even his last 3 seasons before that, plus 10 every season, 9 points his first season, one season with Winnipeg, 13, 27, and 31, a slow growth too.
Yep.
So not bad. Obviously, Winnipeg was an ungodly team this year in the postseason, so that does help a little bit. And having a goaltender like Domingo behind you, pretty nice too. So I can't say those scores will be replicated on the Red Wings with what we have right now. But at the same time, I think Zach made a good pick with this guy because our defense has been struggling the last few years. If anyone remembers that, I'd say go back about 3 months ago and have a couple heartbreaks. It's great. So having someone with that kind of defensive mind, though, on our blue line, easily a second liner for sure, with somebody who has high offensive talent on the line, say an ASP that's coming over at some point. I'd say that's a pretty good fit. I think Zach's only worry is that he's probably going to want something more than a 3-year deal, and it's probably to come a little bit more expensive, especially after this season.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing you got to factor in too, is his age. I think he's 31 years old, and another guy that he reminds me of, just that D-man, that shutdown D-man who's actually a little bit younger is Matt Roy. And I have heard of Matt Roy's name being, thrown around with some rumors and stuff with the Red Wings and maybe some potential defensive targets for them. And he's another one who's got a fantastic plus-minus, some slow progressive growth, and he's a little bit younger. So personally, I'd be happy with either one of those guys. I think DeMello's a great call. I think Matt Roy is a very similar type of player who's a little bit younger. Does that mean he gets paid a little bit more? We're not sure, but there are definitely some deeper defensive guys that I think would be really good for our defensive group. DeMello's definitely one of them. Matt Roy's another one to look at too, because he's got some really nice numbers as well.
And I'm not upset with having somebody who doesn't put up that point production on the line, as long as you're not letting those goals go in. That's a win-win right there, no matter what you say.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah,
how you feeling, Matt?
I think he'd be a good addition to the blue line. I think one thing you have to consider is, this is assuming that Gostisbehere is not going to be back, which I think he's not. He's going to be asking for too much money. You're going to have to replace that power play quarterback, Like, if you lose Gostisbehere, like, we saw how good our power play was with him as quarterback. And, sure, Mo Sider can do that, but it's not really, like, his specialty. Like, better for him to be on the second power play unit doing it. So I think if you're going to take a D-man, you're going to want to look at a guy who maybe is like, maybe you can play that role of power play quarterback, because I really think that's what you're going to need. But yeah, DeMelo's good. I do like his game. He's definitely like a more responsible type of D-man where, I mean, he does put up some pretty good points, 30 points in 82 games. That's not bad production at all. And so I'd be okay with it. It's probably not going to cost you that much if it's just like a shorter term deal. But it sounds like it's not. He's probably going to want a longer term deal. And I don't really know if I want to sign that. There's a lot of D-men knocking on the door in Grand Rapids. So don't really know if I want to
a little small log jam.
Yeah, a little small log jam. I don't think I want to sign another Sherratt type deal where we're going to have a guy for 4 years. I'm not saying that he's going to be like a Sherratt player. I just don't want to sign another deal like that. So that's just what I think.
Bring up a good point with the quarterback on the power play too, because I really don't know, other than Sider, who's the quarterback.
I mean, it's going to be.
Don't have one right now.
It sounds like it's not this season, so
yeah,
you have to figure that out.
Yeah, damn.
But sweet guy, got a nice little rundown of our free agent targets there. Zach, I guess sorry we not too interested in DeMelo as much as we thought we would be, but I'd still be happy to have him on our line for a nice deal. So,
but then again, does he block Johansson from getting those minutes?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Yeah, and if he's not bringing. If he's not bringing quarterback play, is exactly that's a tough one, man. Oh my god, that's a tough one.
If I'm signing a D-man, he's not here for 2 years max.
Yeah,
probably not even that much, to be honest. I might want one for just 1 year,
for real.
If I'm being completely honest.
Get another plug in there.
There's a lot of youth to figure out. I mean, we're gonna have a spot for Edmonton, and we're already talking about like what are we gonna do with Justin Hall? Like he's probably not even gonna play much at all this year, if at all. So what's going on with him? We got Petrie still that shouldn't be on an NHL roster anywhere. So I don't know. There's too much to figure out to bring a guy in for 4+ years again.
God,
yeah, man.
Hearing Stevie talk about the Petrie signing was pretty rough. Like, yeah, it was a great deal for someone who had great abilities. I was like, yeah, how's that going now?
I don't know. That one did kind of grind me a little bit. But you know what? Just because we're talking about Justin Hall real quick, I will mention that. I don't know if you guys knew this, but NHL teams only have 4 days. Their buyout window is 4 days because of how condensed everything is. So, you bring up Justin Hall, he would be a buyout candidate, in my opinion, if there's not a trade for him. That would happen very soon because the teams only have 4 days to do that, identify it, and then process it. So, I think we'll find out the future of Justin Hall's fate rather quickly in the next week or two. Hopefully, we do, anyways.
I don't think he's getting bought out. I think they're just going to trade him. They're going to throw a pick on, and they'll trade him to
and send him
Chicago or San Jose. I don't think he's going to get bought out.
Or Utah. Utah could use a guy like Justin Hall. Hey, you're listening to Utah.
I mean, Utah's not a team anymore. Well, hey, we'll take your unwanted trash for nothing.
Yep.
They're not that team anymore. It's not Arizona anymore. We're talking.
I was about to say, just revert back to the old Arizona ways. Nice dumping ground for everybody in the NHL.
They're not the Arizona Coyotes anymore. They're the Utah whatevers.
That's right.
The Utahs. Woo.
The UWs.
All righty, boys. Well, that will cover our free agent targets for this episode. So let's jump into some around the league news to end this out. So Oilers and Panthers Stanley Cup final, as you have heard already, is on Monday. The Oilers came back from a 3-0 deficit. Boys, is the reverse sweep going to happen for the second time in NHL history?
If you are a betting man out there, I got 2 bets for you. Oilers money line tomorrow. McDavid for Conn Smythe.
Easy.
Book it.
Easy.
Wow. You want money? Easy money? There you go.
Yeah, easy money.
That'd be Conn Smythe for sure. McDavid after those 2 4-point games in a row. It's like, oh, you solidified that one. Okay, sorry, Bob, you're out.
Yep. Now your value bet where we're talking a low wager with a crazy amount of upside is obviously the Oilers on the money line and Stuart Skinner as your Conn Smythe. I'm joking. Don't lay that down. I am not
Well,
giving you that.
if you want to lose
that
money
one,
very
but
quickly,
It will pay you like crazy, but do not make that bet.
Sure
You're
would.
donating.
Just don't put $100 on it. Don't
You are
put your rent
donating.
on it.
No, that's the classic. That's the classic $5 pays like probably 300.
Yeah, for real.
well,
But yes, Oilers, I think 100% are taking the game. I think the Florida Panthers, I hope you have a very good team psychiatrist, because what's going through your heads right now, boys? Like, you had it, you tasted it, you were there. Like, I think what's evident is you've all seen Bill Zito's reactions to everything. The guy's the most intense man I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, he's not happy right now.
He knows, man. That guy knows. Like, their heads are just they're Edmonton is just skating east to west, not only on the ice, but in their heads.
Yeah.
Just bouncing off every single wall in their heads. And I think the one thing for me is, Florida went up 3-0 in this series playing east to west hockey. Now they're not playing east to west hockey.
If any listeners out there play golf or have ever played golf and they know what the yips look like, this team has the yips. Florida absolutely has the yips. Like, I watched them. Carter Verhaeghe has been one of their best players throughout the entire playoffs. That dude gave away more turnovers than I think Jeff Petrie did this season in one game. That's how bad he was. So obviously that's not true, because if that were true, he'd be on a bus to the ECHL right now. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Like, they've completely gone away from playing their game. And it's almost like it's flipped. Like, Edmonton has started playing their game. They're like, oh, you don't want to play like that anymore? Well, we'll just play like that, and we'll just beat you at your own game while you guys just flail around on the ice. So, yeah, it's tough. Like, sure, maybe Florida's going to wake up and say, oh, my God, we've dropped 3 games. Our backs are against the wall. It's now or never. Like, we got to do it. But
possible for sure.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think Edmonton is just, there's so much blood in the water. They've already smelled the blood in the water. They're going to go for the kill tomorrow, and it's McDavid's going to lift the cup. I think that's what's going to happen.
I can see it. I can see that.
And if anybody in the league, McDavid might be the one person I would have an argument that deserves to lift that cup. Don't like to say it because he's not on the Red Wings, but the guy is a magician out on the ice. You can't deny his skill, his abilities. He is the best player probably to ever play the game at this point. So I would, if anybody's going to raise it up, and I would like to see, because I don't really care for Florida all that much. The Chuck's fun to watch, but only when he's playing good and getting under people's skin, and not against the Red Wings. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think overall, I'm not going to root for a division opponent to lift the cup. I'm just not going to do that. And it would be very funny to see 2 former Leafs lift the cup, Cody Ceci and Zach Hyman. That would be very funny. I always like seeing that.
It's like, well, you finally did it. You're not on Toronto, but you're on a Canada team and you got it. Don't worry, it's okay.
Show, if you leave Toronto, you will win the cup. So that's a message to William Nylander and Austin Matthews. Come over to the Red Wings and win the cup.
Yep. Please do.
For some reason, I don't want to touch those deals right now, but I would like them on the team if there's some retention.
We can't afford it.
I mean, you got a Mitch Marner that's up in the air right now. Do we want a crybaby playing playoffs?
No, it doesn't sound like it. I think they're gonna re-sign him.
Yeah, it sounds like an extension. Yeah, I heard about that too.
Because you know what? It didn't work the last 6 times. Let's try it for a 7th.
I don't even know where they're getting the money at this point. Are they just doing the Edmonton style, high stacking that front line just to pray to God that something works?
Yeah, honestly, because they're actually very similar makeups when you look at the roster construction of the Leafs and the Oilers.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very similar setup.
Yeah.
I don't know if the Leafs are still figuring it out or if they're still building. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but credit to Edmonton because they're showing Toronto, hey, it's possible to kind of have your stacked top 6 and then kind of a not poor, but middle of the pack defensive core, middle of the pack goalkeeping, and be in the Stanley Cup Finals and potentially pull off a reverse sweep. They're schooling Toronto on how it's done. So
they definitely are similar, but the one thing that Toronto is missing is the depth that Edmonton has. They don't have a Ryan McLeod out there scoring goals, a Warren Fogle. Broberg has even been good. Like we've talked about Broberg like not being a fit, and he's honestly been one of their best defensemen in this entire finals. So yeah, that their depth is really showing up.
Well, it looks like we're all Team Edmonton here today for some reason. Kind of weird, but
kind of weird.
I think you know why. We watched the same Stanley Cup Finals games. You know why.
Yeah, it's true. All right, guys, let's jump in some other around the league news here because that game is tomorrow and we will watch. Well, you guys will. I might take the day off work. I don't know yet. It's tempting. Well, let's jump into some of these signings and trades that we have popping up right now. So the biggest one that we've had happen so far, Canucks have signed Filip Hronek to an 8-year, $58 million extension. $7.25 million a year, boys.
Phil got the bag. Good for Phil.
Good for
him. I'm glad we didn't have to do it, but good for him.
Yeah, I like Phil. I'm happy he got. I'm happy he got paid. I'm even more happier didn't get paid with Detroit, just like you said, Matt. But I think he deserves the money. I think it's a good deal, and I think it's going to age nicely for a guy like Phil. Good for Phil.
I mean, the fact that he is so front-loaded that contract for the first 5 years, I feel like even if he has a massive downturn, he's going to be pretty happy.
Yeah, the cap's going up. Like, guys, the cap is going up. And that's one thing that we have going for us as well within the next 5 years. But this contract is going to age very well for Vancouver. For sure it is.
Dude, speaking of the cap going up, do you know how much the cap is going to jump up when McDavid lifts the cup? Oh, my God.
Facts.
It's going to skyrocket. I think everyone should be rooting for that.
Just an extra $5 million per team.
I'll take the 5, absolutely.
Crazy.
Dude, for real. It might be more.
I mean, with Hronek, got in 25 to 28, a full no move clause, and 28 to 32, 15-team no trade clause. So after that 28 year, hopefully he's still producing for them because they probably won't be able to get rid of him too easily at that point. But Hronek's a great player. He's still young. In 32, he'll be 36 years old. So I'd say that's a great time for him. And then we got a few other things going on here, boys. One that was someone that we were looking at as a goaltender. New Jersey acquired Jacob Markstrom for the Flames for D. Kevin Ball and a first-round pick in 2025. Top 10 protected, though.
New Jersey, look out for New Jersey. I think that team is going to be very, very good.
Yeah,
I said that last year, too.
We did, but they didn't have Markstrom.
They didn't have Markstrom.
Yeah. They did not. Now they got Markstrom and Jake Allen on that line, a 1B, 1A, 1B situation. Jesus.
Yeah. Literally a legit 1A, 1B. My goodness. Yeah, look out for the Devils, man. They are going to turn heads for sure.
And with Hughes being fully healthy and hopefully Hamilton coming back on their D line, look out. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, they're going to be sick.
All right, and then we got another fun one. I know Matt thought this was hilarious when it happened. Caps pick up Pierre-Luc Dubois from the Kings 1 year into his 8-year, $8.5 million contract for goalie Darcy Kuemper. Ooh.
Very strange.
Yeah, I know you like that one.
Yeah, I mean, really, the only thing I have to say about this is if you have a contract on your team that you say is untradeable, you're wrong because PLD just got traded. And he has... I mean, in my opinion, he's got the worst contract in the entire league for what he does. Like, it's not even particularly close. And, you know, this is his 4th team in 3 years. This guy's just a joke. I mean, like, when is it going to work out for him? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if he's on another team next year, but we'll see. I don't really know what the hell Washington's doing. Like, I don't think they realize that, like, when Ovi retires, they're screwed. I don't really know what their plan is. Like, there's really not much juice left to squeeze out of this team. And now you got Tom Wilson locked up for 6 years, PLD for another 7. Good luck. I
think? This has got to be the most ironic thing I've ever seen. The Capitals purchased Cap Friendly, and then they go and pick up Dubois, who's got an 8-year deal at $8.5 million. Are you using Cap Friendly or not? What's happening?
They bought it so no one else can look at how bad that contract is. Just trust us, fans. It's not that bad. Oh, you want to go check how bad it is? You can't.
You can't. Yeah. The irony is just too funny, man. It's too good.
They're like, we're going to hide everything from our fans so they don't utterly get pissed and throw the entire sink and kitchen at us.
Yeah. So anybody
if they
watching Puckpedia, and you can go and see the Pierre contract.
Right.
Puckpedia, you can see it. You can still see
So
it.
when they signed Connor McMichael to a 10-year, $20 million deal, no one's going to really know about it.
Oh my
Well,
God.
thank God it wasn't to the Red Wings, and Steve's a lot smarter than that. So good luck, Caps.
That's for Steve.
Have fun being a dumpster fire in the next couple of years, I guess.
Have
I don't
fun.
know.
Have fun out there.
Yeah. What I want to
right.
say to every Red Wings fan that wanted Pierre-Luc Dubois, do you still want him?
No. For some reason, that ship has sailed many years ago.
When did we want Pierre-Luc Dubois? Sorry, I'm just trying to.
Probably
No,
the
I
draft.
mean, I'm saying like the fans that wanted him.
Oh,
I don't think I ever wanted him, but I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, he might be a good idea." Do you still want him?
Yeah, no.
I don't.
No.
I mean,
talk about a plug player. Yikes.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give him benefit of the doubt. When he is on and he's playing his actual game, he is a fantastic player.
Oh yeah,
but how often?
That. But how many times is he on? Like once in every 5 games?
Literally, that's what it is. His compete's atrocious. His attitude's atrocious.
Yeah.
People apparently hate him in the locker room. It's like, why would you want to bring that to your team?
I don't know how this guy's getting $8.5 million.
Hey, he got the bag, and he's gonna ride with it until someone buys him out eventually.
Hey, good for you. You got paid. Good for you. But geez, maybe that's why he's not well liked in the locker room. This guy got paid. He's not really doing.
You know what's bad when your own former GM, after you got traded, is saying it wasn't a good fit. My guy, you wanted him there in the first place. You traded for him.
Yeah.
You know that's how bad it is when he's saying like, yeah, he just wasn't
threw
a
the
great
bag
fit.
at
Like,
him.
I think you probably should have told yourself that last year.
Just don't say anything, man. Just cut your losses and just zip it because
Seriously.
you just look ridiculous.
All right, and the next fun little one here for us boys is Barclay Goodrow placed on waivers and picked up by the Sharks, who were presumably on his no-trade list.
Wow.
Ooh, that's a fun way to get around a no-trade clause right there. Toss a guy on waivers, and the team that he doesn't want to go to is like, we'll take you back, buddy. Don't worry.
Wow. I wonder if there's a trade happening. Maybe he gets shipped and they get a pick or something, because that's kind of what San Jose's in pick mode right now, right? So could be something there in terms of what they're thinking plan-wise.
And at the same time, it's not like San Jose is anything near good. I don't even think they're near bad at this point. They are god-awful.
Yeah.
And the worst part is being in Goodrow to put on your bottom 6 actually probably would help out your team at this point.
They could probably put them on the top 6. That's how bad they are.
Legit.
Yeah, I mean, this is why when you're going for a new contract, you sign a no-move clause. I think this will happen. So,
yeah, well, that's a fun one. I mean, hey, the Rangers got rid of a bad contract. Guy wasn't producing like he should have. So good for them. Sucks for him. Good for the Shark. I don't know. It's going to be a weird way how this one turns out at the end.
Yeah.
But then our next fun little one we got is Rutger McGroarty and Winnipeg no longer seeing eye to eye. Rutger is the 22 first overall pick for the Winnipeg, and he was 14th overall. Played for U of M this year. Crushed it. Played for the USA team. Crushed it. Oh, God, this kid alone just looks like an exceptional top 6 talent. So, boys, what are we thinking about right now? Another prospect in the pool?
I honestly don't really know too much about him to really say anything. I don't know if this is a deal that like the Red Wings need to make. I think it's more of a deal that like San Jose needs to make or something like that. Like a team that is really looking for like young talent. It's kind of like when the Ducks traded for like Cutter Gauthier. That's the kind of trade that I could see here. Like, I think I don't know if we need to do this. Like, if you add him in your prospect pool, let's just do this right now. Like, who's he better than in our prospect pool? Is he better than Danielson? I don't think so. Is he better than Marco Kasper? No, I don't know. Is he better than Carter Mazer? Maybe.
Mazer. Maybe. I mean, he's done well. I mean, he has done well. I think it's going to be cool to see, maybe follow him a little bit closer, because he did commit to University of Michigan for 24-25. So maybe we can follow him a little bit more to really see, but he'll probably be taken by somebody. His NHL rights will be taken by somebody, I'm sure. But I feel like a guy like that, it's never really a bad thing to have in your prospect pool, but is it something that the Detroit Red Wings need? No, because he's probably not going to be on the Detroit Red Wings. You know what I mean? So, no, I agree with you, Matt. I think we need to keep our sights on what we absolutely need on the Detroit Red Wings, which is what we talked about today, that top 6, top 4D, and maybe some better goaltending. Like, that needs to remain the focus. Like, bringing in a guy like this, it's like, okay, cool. What is he doing for the Detroit Red Wings this year? Oh, absolutely nothing. Sweet. Okay, moving on.
I think it's a deal that like a team like Columbus could make, Washington, Pittsburgh, Nashville even. I don't think the Red Wings need to do this.
I could see Nashville. Yeah, I could see that making, because Nashville's going to want to eventually, well, I'm sure they are, but they're going to want to have that inject their youth as well. He'd be a good fit there, I think. That's a good call.
I mean, he's a big 200-pound, 6'1" center left wing. So, and his point production does speak pretty well at the University of Michigan over the last 2 years. And I believe he was the captain of the USA team the last 2 years as well. Great production both years. So whoever ends up with this guy is going to basically end up with somebody who is looking like he's NHL ready right now too, which is what gives me that little tingle, I would say. Like, I could see him making that jump pretty quickly after this next season, but you guys are right. We need somebody more so suited for what's going on right now and not for the next 2-3 years. But that skill level definitely just makes me bat the eye back and forth a lot, especially once I saw his name get thrown out there. I was like, ooh, Winnipeg, what are you doing? That's a nice pick you have there.
100%. If it was 2022, I'd be all over it. And I think as a Wings fan, like, we have been in this limbo for so long that it's like a default for us to be like, oh yeah, go scoop them up and like hoard. We want to hoard all these prospects. We got to let go of that because we're moving on. And again, 2022, I'm all over this guy. But 2024, going into that season, I just don't see the point. We gotta remain focused on what we need to do, I think, and that's score more goals, let less goals in, and make the fucking playoffs. There's my one F-bomb.
And to let you guys know, the reason Winnipeg and them and what's his name, Rutger, didn't work out is because he actually was trying to make the push into the NHL this season after his run with Michigan ended. But obviously Winnipeg, with their massive push they were doing, how well they were doing, they told him he would not have pretty much any playing time this year or next year coming into the league. So that's where the tension built up there. And he was like, well, I guess I got to go back to school then. It's like, so, like I said, I feel like one of the guys from that 22 draft that are very NHL ready is probably Rutger here. But again, what would it cost to get a first-round pick with that kind of skill that'll probably pan out in maybe 2 to 3 years? That's the scary part.
And this is the result of having too many plug players on your roster. You're going to piss off the guys in your system, and they're going to want to bounce.
I mean, don't we have a similar situation with our top prospect? Well, I guess if you want to call him a prospect now, or not anymore since he's 23 on our AHL team.
We're threading the needle, Derek. I don't think it's as bad as Winnipeg's. But this is the result, and this is why you need to be very careful and very, very good at managing roster construction, because if you don't have a spot for the guy who's a first-round pick who's got great numbers to start paving his way in the NHL, I mean, he's a human being too. He's a gamer. He wants to play. Buddy, if you don't have a spot for me, I want to go play somewhere else. Figure it out. That's the result of poor roster construction and poor management. And I don't think we're there, but we're not far off. That's why I'm hoping we see a lot of movement in terms of offloading this offseason with a couple key people. But yeah, I'm just digressing into what I think plug players can do to your younger people, which is piss them off.
Yeah, and that's the one thing we don't want to do really right now.
No.
All righty, and that basically sums up all the NHL news we got for this week, boys. Before we jump into our final thoughts, Carlo, I know you have a nice little honorary Red Wings mention for us. We do. We have an honorary mention today, folks. It's been a little while, and today we're talking about Mr. Corey Emmerton. Corey Emmerton played. He actually had a pretty good stint with the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings. Couple seasons.
So Detroit, he played, I think his most notable season, which we did talk about, was 2011-2012. So this is going back now. But it was 71 games played, 6 goals, 4 assists, and 10 points. Corey Emerton, man, how you doing? What are you doing?
Where you at right now?
I'll tell you what he's doing. So he is actually, I think I said he was playing, but he's actually the head coach of a team in the Swiss League. So it looks like, and the last time he played was also in the Swiss League, and he put up 42 points in 42 games. So I'm going to give claps to Corey. Good for you, bud. That's great. We miss you. We hope you're doing well. And another notable season I will end with is 2013-2014. This would have been his last year with the Detroit Red Wings organization, but this is pretty impressive. Played with the Grand Rapids Griffins for 53 games, put up 44 points, plus 17. So he was. I remember the name, truly. I remember the name, and I remember a couple of times he was on the Red Wings. I didn't really follow the Griffins too much 10 years ago, but Corey Emerton, we hope you're doing well, buddy. And with all that said, we are going to move on to our final thoughts. So, Derek, you'll kick us off there.
Ooh, final thoughts, boys. Let's go Red Wings. It's about to be a fun next week here for us, and especially Stevie up in that front office. Good luck. I know we keep saying it, but it just understanding now how much of a time crunch he has makes me feel even worse for him. So good luck, buddy. I know you're going to make some great moves for us, and if you don't, we will roast you for it. So don't worry. Got your back on both ends.
I like that.
My final thoughts are, let's go Oilers. They're winning tomorrow. Get Mo and Raymond signed. Bring back Patrick Kane. How you doing? Take care of business.
I'm going to follow suit. Play La Bamba, baby. Play the song. I think we're going to hear it. And my last one is the most important one, because without these two signings, and I think I already said it and gave my cards away, but without these two signings, the dominoes they don't fall. So please, let's get Mo locked up. Let's get Ray locked up, and let's let the dominoes fall, and let's get into next season. I'm roaring to go. We're fired up here. Go Oilers. Go Red Wings. Play La Bamba. Have a great week, everybody.
Love it. And thank you, everybody, for joining us again on this episode of Hockey Town Rundown. Come see us next week. We'll be right back here spewing all our nonsense right after the draft again. Love it. All right, boys. Yes, and with that, we'll end it here.
Right on. See you guys. Thanks for coming.
Bye-bye.